Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Band From Ringside.
Tonight on the Band From Ringside podcast, we recap the AEW pay-per-view. We recap the WWE pay-per-view. We recap the NXT pay-per-view. We recap the Succession finale. We recap the Barry finale. We recap the I Think You Should Leave Season 3 premiere. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band From Ringside podcast.
You know I didn't watch those last three,
I'm
right?
just saying it was a big week of entertainment.
This is very true.
It's that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Band From Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Quick Count Chocula. And sitting directly across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Oh, man, like you said, it was a huge weekend of wrestling. It was certain times where it was almost wrestling overload. But on that lovely note, actually, I'm going to sidetrack for 30 seconds. I want to give a shout out to my two cats. It's their birthday today, so I want to give a little shout out love to the cats on their special day. And on that lovely note, I'll ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Band From Ringside podcast, volume 310, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the Holy Trinity of BFR. I'm waiting for episode 314 because I'm going to have to say that joker twice. That's going to be real interesting to see how I fuck that one up.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I do want to say I had the cats in birthdays for the week, so you just kind of jumped the gun. You're
Sorry,
supposed to save it for the main event, not for the curtain jerker.
I didn't know you were
out there in Portland, Oregon. We have Three Beers, Zach Pullman. What's going on, Three Beers, Zach?
BFR What's announced?
Yeah. Happy Pride Month. Happy birthday to Jason's cats. Are they legitimate siblings?
They are legitimate siblings. The oldest and the youngest are in my possession right now.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So, is it both of their legitimate? Are these shoot birthdays?
No, this is straight up legit.
He's asking, are they birthdays? Are they birthdays or are they gotcha days?
No, this is the day
that you got them, or the day they were born?
The day they were born.
Okay. All right. Well, then, happy birthday.
Yeah.
What is it? Lucifer
and Billy's running around here somewhere, probably hiding underneath these.
You named the cat after
no,
me.
I didn't.
That's so nice.
I did not do that, man. That was your girl that did that, man.
What?
That was your girl that did that.
My girl.
Yeah, your girl.
We're coming at you from sweltering South St. Louis. It is fucking hot here. Summer is here, and it is on. I have a hard out again tonight. I got some stuff that I got to do this weekend. So like I said beforehand, that I appreciate you boys being so flexible. But it is 4:00 in the afternoon, and we got tons of shit to talk about. So let's just get right into it. Let's get to that 3 count. JCB, dealer's choice.
I'm gonna go with the one that I think is the most polarizing of the shows, the one that I was there next to Bill with, and him going on, I wish it was a rant that I could have videotaped and play it back, because there was a couple of times where I was even debating to myself, is this an AEW fan or not? So, on that lovely note, obviously we'll be going to Las Vegas, Nevada for AEW Double or Nothing main event. Surprisingly, and I think probably a part of the reason why I think, for me personally, I kind of had a problem with the pay-per-view is when you have the main event as a non-title match, I think that's a kind of an indictment on the title holder itself, the 4 guys that are in the title match, yada, yada, yada. Just overall thoughts. I thought this was spectacularly mid until the last 2 matches. It felt a little predictable at points. The women's matches I thought were the 2 low points, and that's a goddamn shame. I thought this was Jade's kind of best performance, and then you turn around within 2 minutes and her 60 match streak ends within 2 minutes to Chris Statlander, who I've talked about on multiple times that this was the person that they were waiting for. Why not build that match up, put it on a dynamite? I mean, make this streak feel something. I mean, now it feels like it's nothing. You just built this all up, and now Jade is lost in 2 minutes. I just that personally, I didn't understand it. Jamie Hayter obviously hurt. She gutted that out. I'll tip the hat to that. But a part of me is almost like I almost wish she just dropped the title and just let Toni Storm take it and walk away with it
and been interim champion again.
No, you don't make her interim champion again. You just make her the champion, like you did, like you should have done it before the first time. You just didn't do it. Neither here nor there. From there, it's a mixed bag. It's for me. I don't think there's the last two matches I thought were the two best matches. Then from there, I probably would have to go with FTR versus Jarrett and Lethal. I thought that match kind of woke up the crowd a little bit. Chris Jericho and Adam Cole, baby, was a little underwhelming. Wardlow, Christian, you knew who was going to win. They pulled out all the stops, but I thought they went a little over the top with the biting of the thumb. Talked about Tony and Jamie. House of Black, I thought was a nice little twist. I didn't know who was going to be their opponents, Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Obviously, we're the opponents. Looks like they're going to run that back. We'll talk about that in a second. The Battle Royal, it's Orange Cassidy show. So, I mean,
yeah, okay, I'll save it for my turn. Okay.
I'll wrap it up like this. For me, like I said, it was spectacularly mid. It was one of the more disappointing AEW shows. And I was thinking to myself, when was the last time I walked away from Joey's house this disappointed? It was the night of the barbed wire match with Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, and Eddie Kingston came out when the ring was supposed to explode, and he covered up covered up Jon Moxley or whatever.
And those black cats went off,
dude. And that's when I was just like, okay, that's when I was like the most disappointed. That was rock bottom. This wasn't too far away from that.
All right, so we don't have to dwell too much on the stuff that was disappointing, but I do want to talk about the last two matches a bit. Zach, what were your overall thoughts of the pay-per-view?
Overall thoughts were that it was the worst AEW pay-per-view. It was the only one that I regretted spending money on, because even the barbed wire thing, Exploding Barbed Wire, was a phenomenal show.
Yeah.
It just had an unfortunate ending. This was bookended by a very fun battle royal and a fantastic main event with a very solid title match preceding it, and then the middle was just like completely missable. And that's just not, that's just not how AEW has been with their pay-per-views historically. Usually they're pretty much top to bottom, with fantastic shows with maybe a popcorn match here and there. But usually you feel absolutely justified in plunking down, $50 hard-earned dollars. And this time I was like, I could have missed most of that. That was it. And you know what? It's not the end of the world. It was still a fine night of wrestling, but they're just in a little bit of a booking lull. I don't necessarily want to offer up any indictments or anything. It's just like, you're not getting hit a home run every fucking single time. And they didn't hit a home run this time. It was a nice ground rule double.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much like,
that's great.
I went back and watched the Battle Royal today because I was not at Joey's yet when that happened.
Right.
The last 3, 4, 5 minutes of it, where it was Orange Cassidy and Swerve, was
worth it.
Very fun.
Yeah. Now
and
you obviously were getting that on Wednesday, next Wednesday.
That's awesome, because I wouldn't mind seeing because Orange Cassidy's been taking all comers. I wouldn't mind seeing a feud between those guys, and I certainly think now that Orange Cassidy still holds it, Swerve should be the guy that takes it off him. Let's give Swerve the ball here. Let's let him run a little bit, because their styles kind of mesh with each other really well. Their styles are both kind of similar in terms of the fact that they're both kind of heady wrestlers. They're like smart in ring, and they kayfabe. They make smart decisions. I really like the end of that match. The main event was fucking awesome, and yes. I also went back and I rewatched pretty much the whole pay-per-view today. There was some shit that I skipped past while I was working, but the not the Blackjack Battle Royal, the Anarchy in the Arena match was fucking awesome, like super awesome. Not always my favorite type of match, but there was enough action going on in ring at all times. And the production did a great job of keeping everybody, like, there was split screens and all shit like that, and that was very cool. And the last, I looked at, I was watching on my phone today with my earbuds in, and well, you know, I got it set up right in front of me. You know,
you had to explain yourself to me, dog. Do you think?
I mean, it's not like I'm watching 2001: A Space Odyssey on my phone or something. It's like I'm watching wrestling, but like the way Stanley Kubrick intended it.
Exactly.
But when Daniel Bryan, when they all started hitting each other's finishers, or when Daniel Bryan, it was just fantastic. It's so much fun. I looked at my phone. There was 10 minutes left in the pay-per-view because I wanted to be like, okay, when does, like, pretty much the last 8 minutes of that match, or the last 8 minutes of before they were all celebrating up to when basically they did that pose with Takeshita and Callis. That the last 10 minutes was just fucking spectacular. I was pretty hard on the Four Pillars match, sitting there watching it.
Very much so. JV versus the varsity, I think, is the right words that came, if I remember correctly.
Well, I like.
You didn't like it?
Oh my God, hell no. He took a nice little 26-minute dump on this match.
I went back and rewatched it today. It was better than I thought it was that night. I kind of like, I started dumping on it, and then I just like, I got in the mode where I was just dumping on it. There were really only, there were the first. Okay, so let's get into this.
Let's get into it.
Kind of like when you hit your wife and she didn't really deserve it. It felt real good to do it. You just gotta keep doing it.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. I can't wait for them to play this clip in divorce court. But
About domestic abuse, but
he was joking.
My God!
Please, for the jury, can we listen to the first 300 episodes of BFR so that they know that Zach's joking?
Bill's gonna cut this out anyway.
That's right. I don't hit my wife. Okay. Can't believe I have to say this 10 minutes into the podcast.
If anything, she hits him.
That's right. Let me start off. Let me start off with the good.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay.
I thought Sammy Guevara was fucking awesome. I thought that MJF was fucking awesome. I thought that Darby was incredible in this match. The thing that bothered me were the really, really, really choreographed shit. I thought that the first 6 or 7 minutes of this match was terrible. I thought it looked like it looked like they were all like kind of playing together instead of having an actual match. The part where they all did their do their mentors' finishers on each other right in a row. I remember hating that when I watched it. Didn't hate it so much this time because it ended with MJF doing the Crossroads, which was frankly pretty fucking badass.
Okay.
I didn't like the part where they all had submissions on each other and the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." It's like, are you guys watching the same thing that I am? And then I hate that spot where they sit in a circle and then they take turns punching each other. Hate that spot. Besides that, I thought that Sammy Guevara kind of stole the show. And also, congratulations to Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti on the welcoming of your new child. Jason, where am I wrong? Where am I right?
I think it's always personal preference, and I'm glad that we started here because I at least wanted to. This was your biggest complaint of the night, and I was sitting here next to you, and I'm looking at the same match, and I'm just like, I just don't personally get it. I like all four of these guys. I think everybody was putting on a good performance. MJF with the entrance of the night coming from the heavens as the devil, I thought that was just absolutely amazing. And on a night where I was looking for things to kind of look onto and to grasp onto to see that it's, worth my time sitting here at Joey's. It's always my time, but this shit was starting to get like, okay, man, goddamn, we need a good match here. That was a good start. And from that point, like I said, it's always personal preference. Before you even said Sammy Guevara, I thought he was the guy that stood out to me most. Darby Allin is the guy that people are saying that if anybody should have won, he should have been the one to win it. I get that. That makes total sense. But Sammy Guevara, to me, is must-see TV, whether it's I'm doing a suicide dive or I'm doing a 630 off onto the outside or whatever the case may be.
The Spanish fly onto the other two guys was pretty... That's dangerous.
But that's Sammy Guevara,
yeah,
though.
I know, but
and
it's dangerous for everybody else, too, especially it looked like MJF. I rewound it a couple times. It looked like he took a knee
to the head or whatever.
To the jaw. It's like you can really fuck somebody up like that. So I'm glad that nobody got hurt.
Oh, I think both of his knees, I think he hit one guy in the head with his knee, and then, like MJF on the side of the face. Like, both of his knees hit head.
Which is why you don't do Spanish flies on top of guys, but also, I don't care,
Jungle Boy is the only guy that I think is kind of missing, kind of lost in the sauce, I guess, for lack of a better term. The one
Jungle Boy needs to fucking turn heel.
Okay, you stole my thunder. Wednesday. You stole my thunder.
I thought he was coming out to turn heel,
and I was just like, he was holding the chair, and I'm like, you want to do it. Go ahead, whap that motherfucker, man. You'll feel better.
It would have been perfect on Wednesday night. It would have been perfect.
You want to whack that motherfucker with the chair. Go ahead, and that's what I was kind of waiting for, and it didn't happen. I was like, okay. Maybe this is just, we're planting a seed for whatever. If they want to do it, it'll be another place, another time. Even in this match, in this title match, when Jungle Boy had the title and he had to make the business call of whether I want to whack this motherfucker with this title and become this guy that I've despised and I've talked about for the last 6 weeks, or I'm going to do it the right way. So Jungle Boy has had two literally crisis of conscience moments.
The crowd booed when he threw the belt away too.
Right.
Yeah.
You make the call from that point.
Zach, tell me where Jason and I are wrong or where Jason and I are right.
I just really enjoyed the match. I didn't have any criticisms whenever I was watching it. I only watched it the one time. There was other stuff that I didn't.
You only watched it one time? You only watched it one time?
I did. I watched it live, and then I didn't go back and revisit
bullshit. Unprofessional bullshit.
Just
pretty much.
Yeah. Guilty as charged.
Well, you got work?
Yeah, right. You got kids at home? What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, so I was just, and that's, I think, kind of an indictment on the pay-per-view in general, where I just didn't even think to go back and watch it. I did love the last two matches. I thought the Battle Royal was very fun. Adam Cole and Jericho was incredibly underwhelming. I think that was something that I was looking forward to. That just, I don't know that it was necessarily the finish. I just don't think they have good in-ring chemistry. Just wasn't feeling it. I didn't mind the finish as much.
Oh, fuck all that. That to me was the biggest thing, man. If you talking all this shit about my girl, you whooped her in front of me, man. It's gonna take more than a little mouse under the eye for me to be like, that's enough.
Yeah, and I understand that they probably didn't want to get too brutal because of the anarchy in the arena, but that's why it went first.
Fair. No, that's totally fair. You separate the two, and I get that. The finish is, for me, is what took me out of the match, but I never thought about the fact that you just said that they just don't have good in-ring chemistry. To me, wrapping my head around that statement blows my mind. Adam Cole is the guy that just walked up to Karrion Kross. Is that the only thing that's special about me is that when they ring the bell, and now you got Chris Jericho across from him, and you would think this is just a natural match that has good chemistry. I didn't think about that until you said it. You might have a point there.
I kind of got the John Moxley, Chris Jericho WWE vibes from that match, like the Asylum match. That's kind of what it felt like to me. It was just didn't click.
That's totally fair. No, that's one of my least favorite Moxley / Dean Ambrose matches in WWE.
Oh yeah, everybody hated that match. I remember. All right. So if you had to give a grade to the Four Pillars match, Jason, what would you give it?
B.
Zach, what would you give it?
The Four Pillars match, I'd give it a B+.
I said on the podcast last week that I thought that the match would steal the night. I was very much looking forward to this. I didn't come into it with a bad attitude, even though I thought that they probably shouldn't be fighting for the title, which turns out I was right.
How you right?
Oh, I'm going to tell you how I'm right here in a second.
Okay.
Even though I came into it with an open mind and I expected it to be good, I was still disappointed in it. I give it like a B minus. Yeah, not terrible. I was expecting an A. I was really expecting a lot.
You still didn't say why you were right, because this match shouldn't have been for the title.
I was right because, okay, so everybody's kind of in agreement that this is maybe the worst AEW pay-per-view they've ever had.
For me, it's arguably.
I mean, Zach said it. I've seen other people say it. I've heard other people say it.
What? Kind of like just saying like it's the worst orgasm you ever had, though. They were all pretty good.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. But the thing that always saves the thing that always saves AEW pay-per-views is the title match. Whether it's Punk and Ambrose or Punk and Moxley or Kenny and Moxley or MJF versus Bryan Danielson last time in the Iron Man match, which I came in thinking it was going to be not as good, and it ended up being fucking superlatively good.
Right.
The title match couldn't save it here. And maybe
if Anarchy in the Arena was not behind it and the title match was the main event, the rest of it
would have been worse.
Yeah, because now we're feeling like we're still leaving for more. I mean, you gave me a little something, but I still want more.
MJF had a fun line in the presser afterwards where somebody asked him, "Do you think this should have been the main event?" And he's like, "Do you think I want to wrestle in Moxley's blood?" Which I totally get. It's a funny line.
Fucking comedy.
But I would have rather seen, and maybe I don't know what this says about me. I would have rather seen MJF versus Darby Allin straight up, or even MJF versus Sammy Guevara straight up. I thought that this match, I think that they overthought it. I'm telling you, man, go back and watch the first 5-6 minutes of this match. It is terrible. It looks like fucking gymnastics. And I'm not the one that that hates on the Ospreay Ricochet flipping around stuff. You both end up in the superhero pose or whatever. I'm not the one that always says that. But in this case, with 4 of them all doing it, it just didn't seem like a wrestling match to me. It really seemed like an exhibition, which I get. That's all wrestling is an exhibition. But it's supposed to feel like a fight.
Right.
And it just didn't feel like a fight to me.
Totally fair.
And then I got into that mindset, and then I was also probably getting some yucks over at Joey's house, so I probably just kept going with it. It was probably just me being a dickhead.
I was going to say, shout out to him, my man Joey, who's probably his arm should be coming back to life after Vice is over here beating the shit out of him, thanks to you.
Well, we were having fun. It was still a fun time at Joey's house.
Always is.
I texted him the next day. I was like, man, I feel like I talked a lot last night. And he's like, you were on fire. I was like, all right.
I was like, it's the one of the few times leaving Joey's house that I left him money because I felt like, I need to leave him money. The show didn't deliver, and I said it last week. Wasn't very invested coming in, but I expect the AEW show to deliver. And when it doesn't, that's where I think the bells start to alarm, or whatever the case may be. I just wanted to see where Bill's take was. For me, I haven't wavered too much. I finally watched the Jamie Hayter match. Bill and I were outside smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, that's how quick it was.
Yeah, and that's why I was
it's
like,
not like we're slow smokers either. It's like,
no,
we're putting them down.
And next thing you know, we walk back in, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? He's like, oh, Jamie Hayter lost the tie. I was like, damn, we were just outside.
Yeah,
we were literally just outside.
Well,
6-7 minutes tops.
We were outside for 6 to 7 minutes. The match,
coming out, and I think that's the way
you gotta think you're gonna get 6. You gotta think there's gonna be some entrances. There's like an ad in the middle or something.
Well, yeah, of course, but the way that they did
Stephanie McMahon talking about how great Saudi Arabia is to women or something like that.
The way you ain't shit. The way that they did it is, obviously, with the Outcast beating Jamie down in the back, it protects her even more. So I'm assuming this injury is not kayfabe. This is a shoot injury.
Yeah.
She's going to be out for a little bit, and now they did the best that they could do to protect her. From that point, the match wasn't what it was. It didn't. I guess here's the problem with it. The crowd still wasn't really into it, and now you roll this out. Now you're having a crowd that's mid, even more mid. And that's when we came back. I was like, damn, what's next? And then the House of Black came back. I was like, okay, now I'm getting excited again. But up to this point, there wasn't the Battle Royal. Is probably, I think, everything that we all can agree upon that was something that got us interested in it, especially like you said with Swerve and Orange Cassidy. Yeah. That got me interested.
I would have rather seen a one-on-one match between those two also.
It is what it is.
Sure, it is what it is, but you know what? I just thought of another thing that I was probably another reason why you looked at me and was like, is this guy an AEW fan or not? It's like, why didn't they advertise this acclaimed match? That would have been something that I just really would have looked forward to.
No, I just think that's the booking. That's booking. Okay. On Tony's side. All right. Sometimes you overbooked. In this case, you didn't book it enough. Where if you'd have told me Acclaim and Billy versus House of Black was going to be on the card, okay, there you go. It's something else to worry about.
Let's move on to the Anarchy in the Arena match, and we can get down to the nuts and bolts of it. Zach, what were your favorite spots of the Anarchy in the Arena match?
The Matt Jackson combo of the exploding sneaker, and then they dumped out the thumbtacks and they did the atomic drop on the thumbtacks on his foot. That was super creative stuff. Last time we had one, not an Anarchy in the Arena, but whenever we had like that awesome cage match with Lucha Brothers and Young Bucks, and they did the thumbtack Jordans. There's always some fun shoe spot. I wonder if that's going to be a continued thing. But
you think they're feet guys?
Oh God, yeah. No, like Tony Khan's got a foot fetish.
Gross.
It's like directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Right, exactly.
Oh man, no, that was awesome. That obviously stood out. But yeah, just absolute chaos. What about you guys?
You can't forget about the thumbtacks in the mouth and then taking the European uppercut.
I was like, dude, what the fuck is this, man?
I don't know which Jackson was taking him in the mouth, but he looked scared when they were like shoveling into his mouth.
That's why I was just like, dude, hasn't Matt suffered enough? Find somebody else to fuck with. You just fucked with his foot, and now you put tacks in his mouth? God damn.
I heard Meltzer this morning when I was listening to Observer Radio, said that when they went to take the thumbtacks out of his feet, that some of them, like the heads of them broke off, and he just had the slivers like still stuck in his heels and shit. So they had to like dig in to get them.
Wait, those are real tacks? Just curious, and we can cut this out later. But what did Meltzer think about the Four Pillars match? Did he love it?
The ratings. I think the newsletter comes out today. Like they usually come out on Thursday, like nights, Friday mornings. But he had generally positive things to say about it.
That's basically like me. I basically had generally positive things to say about it, but they're just I don't mind choreography. I just don't like the over choreography. That's fine. That's
personal preference.
I get that. He actually kind of sounds like you because he really doesn't like the gimmick matches like the Anarchy in the Arenas or whatever. But whenever they happen and they're good, like he was talking about how great of a match it was, even if it's not for him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Me and Meltzer. Yeah, he's a real cool dude.
You guys are best buds now.
I texted you guys the day after, and I said, "LOL, I picked Jarrett and Lethal, LOL." Because I was like,
some bad picks.
We can go over the picks right now. So we'll go through every one, but just for AEW, and Jason can see him right here. I hope you don't spoil them for the listener because I'm sure we got to get him to listen through those ads that we're getting ready to have.
One day, my brother.
Jason had a perfect AEW. Holy shit. Jason had a perfect AEW. Well done, Jason.
Really?
Didn't miss a pick.
Oh, okay, Chris Statlander. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, you had Jade winning. So Jason had 12, I had 8, and 3 Beer had 9. Now, I also texted you guys about my Tyra Valkyrie pick because we always say that it's always about who's walking out with the belt. So even if somebody cheats, but you can't lose the belt by disqualification, we just pick who's ever walking out with the belt. I picked Tyra Valkyrie. Tyra Valkyrie didn't walk out with the belt, but neither did Jade.
2 separate matches, Dirty.
So actually, we should all have half points there.
2 separate matches.
All right. So in that case, I had 8 and 3 Beer had 9. I also picked Orange Cassidy last. Another bad pick. But so yes, Jason had 12. I had 8. Zach had 9. Any other thoughts about this pay-per-view before we move on to the next one?
Honestly, no. And that's a shame. I thought it would deliver. It did. It did in spots, but overall,
as an AEW mark, they have a really good batting average.
Yeah.
Forbidden Door is 4 weeks away.
That's where I think that
they mentioned Okada on television last night, which is exciting.
That's where I think the problem is.
Really excited to see who should not be named faces if we get a go to sleep match, which I think would be.
Kenta's already called him out.
I saw that Kenta said he's free. Zach, any final thoughts on this pay per view? Let's give grades. What kind of are Zach? Give me your thoughts and then give me a grade.
Overall, I'd say C+.
Wow, that is low. Jason,
what'd you say?
C+.
Shit, it's not a D. It's not C+. I'm going C-. I'm sorry. This is just there's a lot of matches where it's a struggle to get through. The last 2 matches help it out, and then for me, like I said, I have a match that I liked. You guys like the Battle Royal better, so we all have 3 matches out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 matches.
Yeah,
come on.
So this is compared to other AEW pay-per-views. It's a C-. I'd say compared to all pay-per-views, it's probably a C+. I think C or C+ is probably fair.
One last thing before you move on.
Sure.
Before in the Anarchy Arena match, and you were there when the guy came out and playing the John Moxley.
Oh, the guy in blackface?
Okay. I'm not saying this. Technically, it's not blackface, but if I have to stop,
it was a mask, though, right?
Yeah, and then black paint.
It looked like blackface.
Okay. If I have to stop as a black man in 2023 and wonder or not whether the lead singer singing John Moxley's theme music is wearing blackface, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Period.
Okay, real quick aside. Zach, do you think that John Moxley's ever said the N-word?
Oh. Like when he's singing along to a song?
No. I mean, he's a white guy from Cincinnati. He was born in 1985. Of course, he said the N-word.
I was actually just going to make that exact reason. I'm like, Midwest, was born in 1985. Yeah, probably.
I will say,
if you put a gun to my head, I'd say probably.
You know what? One last thing is that I don't mind the band playing Wild Thing until he gets the super kicks. The super kick should have happened probably about 3 minutes earlier. It's like, okay, I don't need music playing during this. It's a little overstimulated for me. You know what I mean?
I actually kind of like that. But that's a preference thing.
Just a preference thing. Let's get to that. 2 counts. 2 beer. What's the 2 count?
Maybe we should. We're on the grind, but let's just go ahead and change gears a little bit. And since we did have another pay-per-view, I had a couple more pay-per-views, but let's talk about the WWE pay-per-view or premium live event, as they're now called.
We don't work for those motherfuckers.
You can say pay-per-view.
If they start paying us, we can call them PLEs.
Okay, so I say, motherfucker, we the Renegade Podcast. We say what we want to say. What you want to say? You want to say pay-per-view?
Well, I don't pay for it either.
No, I can always say the N-word, okay? Everybody just chill out. I got the N-word shit on lockdown, all right?
You got a monopoly on the N-word over here.
Yes, I do. It's the one monopoly I ever have in life.
But yeah, I don't pay for it because Peacock comes included in my internet package, so that's pretty nice. But so I really like these the time of these Saudi Arabia shows, even if I don't appreciate the propaganda aspect of it. But they do tend to put on really excellent shows, and they do so at 10 a.m. my time, which is very convenient for me. Jealous. Because there's nothing like just sleeping in a little bit. I can't sleep in too much just because I'm getting older and I'm just not allowed to. Like, my body just doesn't let me. But sleeping in a little longer than normal and then, like, getting up and starting a little laundry and then, boom, there's a premium live event on my TV on Saturday morning. Pretty good. Things started out with Seth Rollins, AJ Styles for the brand new World Heavyweight Championship. Pretty good match, as you would expect, right? It's Seth Rollins, it's AJ Styles. I don't think that it never really kind of got into fourth gear or anything. Like, it was like a very well wrestled match, as you would expect, but like there wasn't anything like, you know, out of this world to where, you know, I can just kind of remember the spots because they're typical AJ and Seth spots. But there wasn't anything that really like jumped out at me about this match. But it was like an incredibly solid match, and Rollins ends up, taking it, which I think pretty much all of us expected.
What do you think, Jason?
A lot of people were down on this match, and I couldn't understand why. I watched this match 2 times, and I agree with 3Beer on this one. This was typical AJ and Seth. It didn't blow you away, but I didn't think it had to blow you away. What was going to blow you away is later on down the line. This is just setting the table for everybody to eat. If there's anything, you knew who was going to win. Outside of that, I thought this match could have stood up with any of the other matches I saw all weekend long.
Yeah, it's probably just the hard bigotry of high expectations is that you probably expected a lot, or just the idea of Rollins versus AJ kind of tickles your fancy. You're like, fuck yeah, let's watch these two guys go. And then they start out first. I had it on live. I can't stress enough as a 43-year-old, like, I'm like, man, bring these fucking Saturday afternoon pay-per-views on. This is like fucking perfect.
I gotta work, so they're like, I gotta shower before this shit gets started nowadays.
The fucking baby's napping. It's like I can just kind of chill, sit back and watch it. So I watched a lot of it live. I certainly watched the 3 big matches that I want to watch. I watched them all live, but yeah, I mean, it was really good. It was as good as you would expect it to. It didn't exceed my expectations, but kind of knew who was going to go over the whole time, and good for them.
You know, it's like here in St. Louis, we have Six Flags. That's our Disneyland, Disney World, blah, blah, blah. One of the big rides when I was a kid is the Screaming Eagle. You get on the first time, it's pretty fucking terrifying. But when you get on the second time, the third time, the fourth time, you know what to expect. That's what this felt like to me. It's just riding the Screaming Eagle. It's not going to change. You just know what you're going to get into, where the dips are going to happen, where the dumps, highs and lows are going to happen. It wasn't a bad match. It wasn't the match of the weekend.
I took 20 years off from going to Six Flags between high school and when Aaron and I had been together for like 4 years. And I'm just going to say it right here. The Screaming Eagle fucks. It still fucking rules. God bless the Screaming Eagle. And you know what? People are like, well, it's kind of rickety now. It's like, yeah.
That's what makes it better. Yeah, that's getting ready to say. That's what makes it more terrifying for the guy that hates heights, and they put me up there. I'm just like, oh, shit.
Can't stand heights. Zach, what's next?
When I was a kid, I remember for a certain period of time, they ran the Screaming Eagle backwards. So maybe if we watched this AJ Seth match backwards, it'd be a totally different experience.
Stop.
You know, if you watch the movie Gran Torino backwards, Clint Eastwood's a racist who gets more and more racist. Shit, fuck.
Man, you fucked it up.
Clint Eastwood's a zombie who gets more and more racist.
It's pretty great.
I knew you were going with it. I was like, yeah.
I say that joke like once every 100 episodes. I do love that joke, though.
It's like watching Nick Young. I'm like, he's open for three, son of a bitch.
What do you got, Zach?
Next we had Trish Stratus beating Becky Lynch. This match over-delivered, I thought. I thought Trish Stratus was really good. She had like one spot where she did like the handstand thing that didn't look too great, but she won after Zoe Stark came out from underneath the ring and did her finisher and bashed Becky's face in with it. But yeah, surprising finish. Really putting over Zoe Stark as a contender here. Like, to come from NXT to put you in a program with Becky fucking Lynch. Same thing with what's his name? Coming up, they're gonna put him in a program with AJ Styles. They're doing good things with these call-ups, way better than they have historically. Yeah, Grayson Waller. So anyway, I thought this match over-delivered, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. All the way around. It over-delivered. Trish Stratus looked pretty good. Becky Lynch made her look good. Trish Stratus made Becky Lynch look good. And having it end with a complete surprise with somebody like Zoe Stark come out. Zoe Stark, who, if you watched NXT, or even if you didn't watch NXT, you probably had an idea of who she was and that they liked her a lot in NXT. She never held the belt, but that's because they moved her up quicker than they usually do with other wrestlers. So...
Didn't she have a couple of title shots, though? She just lost those title shots or whatever?
Title shot. She had the tag belts for a while, but I can't even remember who her tag partner was because it was one of those.
She flipped on her or whatever. Was it Nikita Lyons?
I guess it was Nikita
Were they tag champs, though?
I think so. Is Nikita Lyons the one with the apple bottom jeans?
Yeah.
Boots with the fur?
Yeah.
That's non-vaccinated.
Oof.
But if you're going to
leave shit alone.
If you're going to have a big surprise ending like this, then put somebody over, make somebody a star, or give somebody that, like I said with Swerve, even though Zoe Stark's a lot newer than Swerve, but give her the ball, let her run with it for a while, and let's see how it goes. I will say that this is the only match that all three of us got wrong. Everybody had Becky Lynch, but that's also good. Because because that would have been a shitty ending, and this is a much more exciting ending as a fan.
Got me when I saw on Twitter that there was a TV underneath the ring, so I knew, I was like, okay, somebody's coming out. It's just who and when. No problem with Zoe Stark. I'm a Zoe Stark guy. It was one of the few remaining memories I have from NXT Black and Gold before they flipped to 2.0, and Zoe Stark stood out. I'm not sure where they're going to go, if it's a scenario where Zoe's going to wrestle and Trish is going to talk, but I do like the fact, like Bill said, they put Zoe Stark over, and they're going to put her in a program next to Becky Lynch. There is something to be said about that. That is invoking confidence. As long as Zoe Stark comes out and does her thing, she'll be just fine.
I'm glad to see them finally getting through to you, Jason, because that's what I fucking always say, and you're always like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that being in a feud with somebody gets somebody over.
In this case, I think it really does, because if you don't know Zoe Stark, if you've never watched NXT, but you watched the main roster, now you know who Becky Lynch is. But now you've all of a sudden see somebody that has knocked her out, that basically broke her nose again and looked like it.
He's agreeing with Bill.
He is agreeing with Bill. Damn near broke her nose, if not broke her nose. You know what happened the last time somebody broke her nose? Becky lost her damn shit. The only problem with that time is Nia Jax couldn't get over. Zoe Stark can get over. She is one of the many women that are on the NXT roster that are getting ready to come up, and it's going to be a shit ton of these motherfuckers. And if they play their cards right, they can have a really good women's division for the next 3 to 5 years, if not longer.
I just had a vision that I've never had before, but I probably should have had a lot longer ago, where me and you were just talking to each other and yelling at each other, and Zach's got his earbuds in, and he's probably he's probably just looking at Twitter or something. He's probably reading an article by Milton Friedman or some shit.
The great part about not being in the same room, you can't get called out for not paying attention.
I'm calling him out. I don't think
I was actually at Tiffany Stratton because I'm catching the last couple NXT matches while we're talking here.
Oh, yeah. Tiffany Stratton, well, she is easy to look at.
She is distracting.
Yes. So what's next, Zach?
Next was Gunther and Mustafa Ali, and it was, I don't want to say it was a bad match at all, but, like, you think those two guys in your mind, especially the way Gunther works with athletic dudes, I thought this was going to be, like, maybe a show stealer, because I thought maybe they'd give Ali more because they're in Saudi Arabia, and he's Muslim, and, they showed him going to Mecca and stuff, but basically the whole story of the match is that he didn't have a fucking chance in hell to win this title, and there was never really too much of a moment where there was like big near falls or anything. I mean, there was a near fall, like he hit a 450 and stuff, but like Gunther was just the total ring general here, and I don't know. I think it was a good match, but maybe if you watched 50 Ali Gunther matches, this would have been in the bottom 10% of them if you just let him go.
Jason, what you think?
I said it on Twitter. Gunther usually has one or two matches. It's either a match where he and fill in the blank opponent, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, are beating the dog shit out of each other, and you don't know who's going to win. Or you have a match like you had on the Saturday afternoon where you feel like he's the clear favorite, but then all of a sudden now he's in this dogfight with somebody he ain't got no business being in this dogfight in. That was this match. I'm sorry, I have to totally disagree with you. The fact that Mustafa Ali even had Gunther in this predicament multiple times, I just can't disagree with you more. I said it to you when I saw you on Sunday night or Monday night, whatever it was, with the Double or Nothing night, Sunday. Gunther did more for Mustafa Ali than Vince or Triple H ever could have did. And all they did was put them in the ring, and you knew Mustafa Ali wasn't going to win, but they at least got me to the point where it was like, oh shit. And that's really all I ever ask. If you're going to tease me with the win, then tease me with it. And especially in this scenario, you knew Gunther wasn't going to win. Gunther wasn't going to lose. He's, 100 days away from being the longest Intercontinental Champion of all time. So you know he's going to get that first before he drops the title. But in this scenario, shit. Props to Gunther. He made Mustafa Ali look good. And we all know when Mustafa Ali can go. He's never had a chance. And this was his one chance on probably his biggest stage he can ever get. And he killed it. And fucking Gunther killed it. Man, I'm sorry. You can call me what you want on this one. But I thought Mustafa Ali looked as legitimate as he ever has been coming back.
I don't think we want Zach to call you what he really wants to call you.
The
Hulk Hogan.
Listen, brother.
You know what? I love this so much because this is one of those situations where two of the three hosts on this show are just at polar opposites. And usually it's Zach and I that are on the same side, and then Jason says something about you cousins stick together or you white guys stick together or something like this. Oh, yeah, you do. You do.
No, I say y'all family. I say y'all family. In other scenarios, I might say you white guys stick together.
I'm with Jason on this. I thought that this match was really good. I certainly, if they wrestled 50 times, this would not be in the bottom 10%. I mean, if they would be in the bottom 10%, that's just a testament to how good those two motherfuckers are. I thought that the hope spots that they gave for Mustafa Ali were really fun, and they did. I'm a mark, and I did question for a second, like, are they actually going to have Ali go over? Just seeing how much the crowd was into him, because he did get a massive pop, and Sammy did too, and we'll talk about that later. But I got worked for a second. I was like, they might put Ali over.
I was at least questioning it.
I was.
Maybe I should have watched it without commentary, because the commentators were just like, this is not happening. You know what I mean? Like, the commentators did not put Ali over at all.
I'll be honest, I don't remember the commentators.
You stole my thunder. I have no idea what they said.
That's probably because my wife was in the background going.
Good thing she don't listen.
We're not actually getting divorced. I know. I'm just being a dickhead.
I'll say, if anything, Aaron's beating Bill. 2 beer. I'm sorry. 3 beer. What's next? Yeah, right. Ow, ow.
She's like an adult on Peanuts, but instead of like a mumble, it's just like a blender.
She's like the driving crooner, except she's making noise.
Oh no!
I think you should leave, dude. I think you should leave.
Oh no!
Gotta find a way to get this thing paying.
That's
because it's so fucking good.
All right, so a big surprise.
I'm dead.
I don't know. Whenever we did our predictions, if anybody picked this, did anybody pick Asuka beating Bianca?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you do it though because you actually thought it, or did you do it just because Jason and I were just like Bianca?
I mean, it's the only one that I had different. Or no, I guess I had a couple different from you. But no, I didn't do it to be contrarian. I was like, I think it's time. And I think that I said something. I think that I said something like they could do it here when it's not in front of a U.S. crowd where there's not like little girls like screaming for her. So like now would be a good time to take the belt off her. Is what I think I said.
Sure,
no, you said no. He did say it. He did say it. And now he's saying it again. I do remember him saying that. The only reason I disagree with it is for me.
I might have said that Puerto Rico too, though. I don't know.
For me, and this was pre-WrestleMania, and not knowing that Bianca was on the crest of making history. If I'd have known that before the Bianca-Asuka WrestleMania match, I'd have probably picked Bianca. No,
hold on a second. Hold on. No, I gotta take some issue with Zach here. What does it matter why I picked what? I picked Asuka. It's right. Fucking
damn, dog.
Mic drop.
Damn, dog. Okay.
Double tap. John Wick, double tap.
Damn, wait. We need him.
I'm curious. I can't believe Zach said that to me.
Well, I mean, come on, man.
We don't question reasons why people pick what they pick. Did they pick what's right or not?
I picked the Bloodline. I picked the Bloodline in the main event to be contrarian. In my heart of hearts, I knew what was going to happen. But
not to be contrarian for good pod. But totally different.
But you knew what was going to happen.
I'm giving myself 2 points for it now.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're getting 1 point.
I probably would ask the question even if it was wrong, just because it was surprising.
Zach, I'll be honest. I don't remember why I picked it.
No, I do remember you saying.
I was even surprised when I went and looked at the notebook. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" There we go,
boy, getting that point back. You dumb motherfuckers, circling Asuka. No,
I'm about to have a perfect weekend.
Yeah, right. For me, if it was me, I would have just had Asuka do it on WrestleMania weekend. I get what Bill, and upon retrospect, it makes total sense. You have Bianca take this record.
They do, but they don't necessarily deal with storyline at WrestleMania. They like giving the right people wins at WrestleMania. Like it's big to them to be like,
Bianca's had her a couple of really good wins.
Yeah, but they still think that Bianca, she does all the Make-A-Wish stuff, she really gives to the company. She's doing this reality show. They probably looked at her and they're like, we're going to give you a win at WrestleMania. I probably picked Asuka then too, to be honest. Zach, what'd you think though?
I mean, the match was fine. I think title change is more memorable than the match. The finish was a little bit creative in the sense that there was mist, but she like sprayed it on her hand and like rubbed it in her eye. I didn't like, there was a very long celebration at the end, which is great, for Asuka. But like the whole time, like Bianca's just sitting next to the steps, like freaking out, crying because she's got the stuff in her eye. Like it wasn't like a good look. I was like, just have somebody like help her to the back. Like they just kept cutting. It's like full 2 minutes of celebration with Asuka, and they just keep cutting, and she's just like flapping her hands, like at her eyes, and like tears in her eyes and stuff. There's no doctor like coming to check on her. It's just like,
where's your husband?
Yeah, just where's anybody? Just somebody help her. Like,
I mean, does
Jesus
Montez
Christ.
make her scrape off the ice off her windshield during the winter?
Oh,
Is he one of those guys?
Oh Jesus! Don't do it! Don't do it! I know. I see where you go with this.
Where?
I know you.
No, I'm just.
I know what you're getting ready to say here.
No. I had an argument with a guy on Twitter one time because he was like, seeing. Oh, it's one of Zach's buddies. I'll tell you who it is later, Zach. But
Fuck no.
he was like,
Do I know him?
No, he's like watching my wife scrape the ice off her windshield in the morning makes me glad that I'm work from home. And I thought that he was making a joke about like only a dickhead would say this. I was like, but you're joking, right? He's like, no. He's like, she doesn't expect me to do it. I was like,
Really?
I was like, you let your wife go out there and scrape the windshield? Like,
And you working from the crib?
I was like, do you know how hard it is for women to get out of the house? Like, they got to do all sorts of shit that we ain't got to do. I ain't got to do it anyway. Like, I pretty much, I don't even use a toothbrush sometimes. I just squeeze the toothpaste right in my mouth and swish it around, and then I'm good to go. It's like, what the fuck?
I'm pretty sure I didn't shower before I went to Joey's. I brushed my teeth, didn't shower.
Anyway, I thought I don't know if I've ever seen the mist from the hand to the eyes.
Right.
Maybe Great Muta had done it in some Japanese match that we'd never seen before, and that's what Asuka was referring to or was
referencing.
Paying tribute to or whatever. It was new to me. I thought it was creative. I thought it was cool. I'm interested to see what Bianca Belair's next chapter is, because I would like for her to turn heel, and I've heard people say that they don't think she's going to turn heel because she has this reality show coming out, but my thought kind of is like it might be more interesting as maybe people think that it's more interesting as reality show to see heels act like normal people in real life when they're actually like heels on TV, like Miz and Mrs., which I know was a pretty big hit for them, right?
Yeah, Miz on the reality show is funny because he feels like every other guy that I know that's married and his wife is just, you got to do A, B, C, and D, whatever, hoop jump this, hoop jump that, and I'm sitting over here and I'm watching it either in real life or on TV.
King of my castle, dude. King of my castle.
And I'm watching this shit happen outside of Bill, and I'm just like, you know what, man, this shit's crazy, dog. I can't believe this shit. But it's a difference between Miz on TV and Miz in reality. Honestly, I'll just say this. My biggest problem with this whole thing is a title switch has to change at some point. The wrong people have the wrong titles, and they're on the wrong shows. So that's what I know.
Who cares?
I care. This guy does. How you gonna do it? I mean, we've had a scenario where you've had a chance to take the title off of Bianca before the draft has happened. And now the draft has happened, and everybody's like, oh, you just switch him, and they haven't switched him. Rhea Ripley has been running on Raw for a hot minute.
All right.
Even as the SmackDown champion.
Great segue. Zach, what do you think about Rhea Ripley versus Natalya?
Unremarkable squash matches, fine.
Okay, Jason, you think the same thing?
I'm going to meet some Dom.
Okay, there we go. This was exactly how it should have been. It shouldn't have been. Rhea Ripley's got to stay dominant. Natalya, God bless her. They probably wanted to give her the paycheck, which is, she has earned. She
wanted the first to come over as a woman to wrestle in Saudi.
She's also a mentor to a lot of young wrestlers, so good to go.
Give her a look.
Okay.
Give her a look.
Now, the last two matches were significant. Let's start. Sorry, Zach, I'm taking over your count, but let's start with Cody and Brock Lesnar. Zach, what'd you think?
This match ruled. Very fun, even though just in kayfabe it makes no sense. It's like, yeah, he's got a broken arm, but we're still going to let him wrestle. And the reason we're going to let him wrestle is because we're going to strap a fucking weapon to his arm. So, like, he's able to use this titanium arm brace as a weapon. But, this was like a super dynamic match, as most Brock Lesnar matches are. The whole thing is, he's hitting him with the arm brace. He's fighting from underneath because he's got the the injured arm, and Brock's just a predator, just going right after it and putting him in the arm lock. Lots of big babyface spots of about to pass out, but then ref raises the arm and he holds it up and he manages to get out. But the finish was it's pretty much straight, pretty much is the finish that I would have booked, which was Cody doesn't give up, but he does pass out. So now they're 1-1. Brock gets his win back in Saudi Arabia, and now they can either continue it or they can move on. Looks like they're probably going to continue it, though. But I thought this match ruled.
Looks like they're continuing it. They obviously want to keep Cody as strong as shit. It doesn't make sense that somebody can beat Brock Lesnar 2 times in a row, except for you-know-who. CM Punk. Jason,
can we call Phil Brooks to make you feel better?
I thought this match was super fun. I love Brock Lesnar matches. I love them. What you think of it, Jason?
Brock is polarizing. Either you love him or hate him. Either his matches, you love him or hate him. I thought this match... The only problem with this, and I agree with a lot of people I saw online that said this, is that the cast is in play or shouldn't be in play. For me, it shouldn't be in play. If Cody is going to wrestle with this cast, he can't use it as a weapon, or not outright use it as a weapon. Use it like Cowboy Bob Orton. I turn this motherfucker here, next thing you know, I whop fucking Brock Lesnar in the head when the ref's not looking.
Do any of these same people, and I'm sorry, go ahead, finish your thoughts about Brock Lesnar.
It's not
versus
even
Cody.
It's not even Brock Lesnar. It's more so about Cody and the cast itself. If he's going to wrestle with this cast, so he should be coming in as a handicap. So this cast shouldn't become now as an advantage somewhere on the lines of, I now realize this is an advantage. Motherfucker, you knew what this going to be in kayfabe style. You knew what was going to be in your arm. It is going to be a titanium rod of some sort. So you should have been coming with this off of the bat. The fact that they played it stupid makes me a little bit upset, quote unquote. My biggest problem with this is the cast itself. Either you do it or you don't. In this case, he has a broken arm. The right guy went over for how you get from point A to point B is my problem.
Do any of these same people, and here's a segue for all you young podcasters out there that are looking for a segue, do any of these people have a problem with KO and Sammy selling for like a full 7 minutes on the outside while Jimmy and Jey Uso have a huge sibling fight, like a full middle conversation right in the middle of the ring?
It should take you 7 minutes to get
up. So we got KO versus Sami Zayn, KO and Sami Zayn versus Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. Of course, KO and Sami Zayn go over, which everybody picked here except for Jason, but he only did it for content. So, I guess we'll take that point off. We'll give you another point, Jason.
No, by no means.
So, Zach, what did you think about this match? More importantly, the match, of course, was going to be good. Sami Zayn's... I know I asked Zach to talk, and then I kept talking. Zach, what do you think about this match? Gotta stop being such a dick.
So, they started out, and this was Roman Reigns' 1,000th day as champion, which, if you think that's impressive, his push has been going on for almost 3,000 days. So, and they come out.
He's heating up!
Sami Zayn does a promo in Arabic, which I thought was awesome.
Amazing.
Really cool, like a pretty lengthy promo in Arabic too.
Right.
And but the match was really good. It was all about the drama, right? Like, the matches with the matches, but it's really all about the story here. And I thought the turn was excellently done. I thought it was very impactful. That you had Jimmy super kicking Tribal Chief not once but twice, and then Jay what
fuck
did you do? Yeah. So now, we're able to, kind of, stretch this out and keep it interesting. They've just done a really good job with this storyline of it being, a slow burn. And now I would assume like the so Sammy and KO win, and you got like probably the shot of the night, which is Sammy holding the tag team belts like over Roman, who's like sitting on the outside, completely.
You can't have
this.
this. You can't have these.
His life is like falling apart, and now we get like a slow burn. We're probably going into Jimmy Uso versus Roman, and then we can have a debate. Like we can kind of play on the story of like where, like whose side is Jay going to be on, and then if he picks his brother, then you can have like the tag team thing with Roman and Solo versus the Usos, or maybe he doesn't pick his brother, and there's up in the air there, but. Really, really well done, and I mean they give Saudi heel shows, like all told, including the main event. Excellent main event. This was a fantastic show, and they give them $50 million worth. That's for fucking sure.
Jason,
I don't even know where to start. Let's just start at the end. For me, if it was me and because I like receipts to come really quick, I would love to have Jay be the guy to kick Roman in the face. But I get it. Jimmy was the guy that came in. Fuck you. You shouldn't be doing this to begin with.
It was also a surprise.
It was.
Jimmy being the one to turn. Jimmy being the one to finally super kick Roman surprised me.
Actually, it wasn't. Like I said, like I was getting ready to say, when Jimmy came back from injury, he was nobody's bitch. Jay was already in the fold. If Roman said jump, Jey Uso jumped.
I mean, I can't tell them apart. I'm kidding.
Jimmy can kick Roman. I don't care.
Hell no. Jay was, unfortunately, like Three Beard just said, he was that dude. He was the guy from Life. If everybody's seen Life, he's the black guy that's sitting next to the fucking the white guy fucking sheriff that's holding everybody down. Okay, that is Jey Uso at that point.
Sam Jackson and Django. Perfect.
Very perfect. So now, even when you know in your heart of hearts that Jimmy Uso is right, and you kicked him not once, obviously Roman not once, but twice. The second one was just like, oh, you fucked up. And now, and then, you had to.
I popped for the second one.
The first was like, okay, I got to rewind it for 30 seconds. Picking the bloodline was obviously for content, quote unquote. But then when the Usos jumped out of nowhere, I was like, uh-oh. They got in the ring. I was like, uh-oh. They super kicking everybody. I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, and for like 30 seconds, I was like, oh, I'm going to be right. I cannot wait for fucking Thursday. This is going to be one of the greatest podcasts of my life. And then they moved. Well, I'm sorry, Sammy moves, and they super kick Solo. You're like, oh. And I don't know who said it. Was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God, what did they just do? I think it was Corey who said, oh, my God, what did they just do? So the few times that ever listened to commentary, I listened to them then. They reeled me in, and from that point on, it was a magnificent train wreck to where you knew somehow Sammy and KO were going to retain. But then after the second super kick, you're like, what the fuck? Jay's over here like, oh, Joe. He don't ever call him Joe. It's always it's always Tribal Chief. He calling him Joe at this point. I don't want to leave you. Jimmy's like, hey, man, we got to go. Beautiful.
Tremendous stuff. I don't want to overstate it. This shit, we've talked about this. We've talked about the bloodline a lot, and it should be talked about a lot. I don't want to overstate it. There's a lot of drama that goes on in these matches through dialogue, which is something that's pretty new in terms of professional wrestling, and kind of started with these guys during the pandemic, during those two Jay versus Roman matches. I don't know what's going to come up next. I know that when it started, and my baby started crying in the back, and I was like, I could go get her right now, or I could watch the rest of this match. It's like, I'm going to watch the rest of the match. Like, she'll be fine. She's going to go to therapy anyway. It's like, it's fine.
And while Steels, talk to your boy over here, man. Make him a better father.
But Jimmy being the one, and then Jimmy saying to Jay, I would never do this to you. I would never do this to you. You're my brother. I would never do this to you. And then Jay, like, kind of like a deer in the headlights, and Jimmy says, don't worry, I got you. And then he went with the second super kick. Tremendous stuff. I mean, tremendous stuff. Like, it's pro wrestling at its best. It really was. And I know that there's people out there that are like, oh, yeah, everybody kind of falls over themselves. Like, oh, this is the best wrestling storyline that's ever been told. It's like, I don't know if it's the best wrestling story that's ever been told. I know I want to see what happens next.
And that's the most important thing.
Right.
They got the hook in your mouth,
maybe it
and
is.
you want to come back to
really,
see what happens next.
But really, maybe it is the best wrestling story ever told because they do it from week to week. And because the why can't I think of it? The Superpowers Collide. That they weren't on TV every week.
Not like this. Not like this.
Not like this at all.
To me, if you're going to go with anything, it's Austin's reign against Vince.
Yeah.
Stone Cold.
That's fine.
Stone Cold Rock.
Your mileage may vary.
Cena.
Whatever.
Punk.
This is real good, and I want to see what happens next.
It's one of the best storylines I've seen in WWE.
Now,
period.
Does Roman face? Okay, what? Okay,
Here you go.
What would
Here
you?
you go.
What? I'm going to give you two options here.
Okay.
At SummerSlam, would you rather have Cody versus Roman in one match as like some sort of rematch? Because I don't see anybody on the SmackDown side that's going to face Roman unless... Okay, so Cody versus Roman at SummerSlam, and then Jay versus Jimmy at SummerSlam. Or
Jay versus Jimmy?
I'm throwing some shit out there.
Tabir, you can go first once he finishes. Just let him finish.
I'm just throwing some shit out there in the hypothetical. Would you rather Roman versus Cody and then Jay versus Jimmy? Or would you rather it be a fatal four-way between the bloodline, Roman, Solo, Jay, Jimmy? Zach.
That'd be pretty interesting. I don't think either one of them is going to happen, but I'd rather see the four-way.
I think the four-way has to happen at some point.
What was the multi-man match just for shits and giggles? No, I'm sorry. I guess it was an 8-man match.
No, not an 8-man match.
Or all four of these guys.
All four of these guys against each other.
Okay. So what's the difference between that and what we saw in AEW? You know the one guy is going to win, and that'd be Roman.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know who's going to win. And plus, there's someone... Okay, what's the difference between that and the Four Pillars match? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, I want you to say it.
Well, these guys have a fucking year. Solo's been here for a year, and Jimmy and Jay have been Roman's henchmen. That goes back to the pandemic. So we have years and years of backstory with these guys. That could really be like something.
Not where you're going to go with it, but ultimately, I'll just stay to where I am. You know, if you wanted to do it, it would still be great drama, and it would still be a great match.
Okay, go ahead.
But ultimately, like MJF, you know who's going to win, right?
Who does Roman face at SummerSlam?
I don't think he faces anybody. I think the rumored match is going to stand the way it stands. Usos versus Solo and Roman.
I'll tell you what, if that happens, I'm out. I'm done with the podcast. I'm done with WWE. I'm done with AEW.
Well, I mean,
I'm done with New Japan if that happens.
Look, New Japan didn't do anything to you, so don't be kicking about
SummerSlam. No, Roman has to defend the title.
Why does he have to? Because you mandated to be so? Money in the Bank is the next opportunity
that's where you hotshot the tag match, and then you have shit fall apart in the tag match, and then you have the 4-way match at SummerSlam. Solo versus Jay versus Jimmy versus Roman.
Okay.
Saying what's the difference between that and the 4 pillars? Well, first of all, they all look like grown men that have gone through puberty.
Ding, 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 ding. Thank you. Yes.
I'm like that. I think you should leave match where the guy's supposed to not talk, but they all kind of try to get him to talk, and you just did it.
I feel like the fucking cops when they break me. I'm like, no, I wasn't driving drunk. Yes, I was. You got me,
God,
you
I feel so ashamed. I feel so ashamed you got me to admit that.
It was like breaking that stick you find in the backyard. It's like, I can break anything.
Look how deflated I am. Look at my shoulders.
Like, I can hit this with anything. Pow, pow, pow. And then you're like, oh, I can put it on my knee. No, I can't. No, I'm going to break this.
I have no idea what the fuck you're doing.
It's just happy. That's what I ultimately wanted you to admit, because that was his biggest problem with the AEW 4 Pillars match. It was JV versus Varsity.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not. I'll just talk promotional pride or whatever. You're a mark for this. You're a mark for that. I get where
that literally has nothing to do with it for me. No,
I get where Bill is going with this. This is a bunch of smaller guys. When you have Moxley, Claudio, Daniel Bryanson, who's not a small guy, but obviously he's HOF, and whenever he decides he wants to hang it up, and all these other guys, the Elite, Omega, Adam,
Can you imagine Can you imagine those guys laying in a circle and taking turns punching each other around in a circle? You just can't do it. I'm sorry. Like, I got to be true to myself.
Omega do some shit.
My point is this.
I got to be true to myself.
That's why I wanted you to say to begin with, you took the little easy way out, and now that I finally gotten you to admit the fact that you had a lot bigger of a problem with this than you cared to admit to begin with, and now you admitted the fact you had a problem with this. Are we still going to go with the C? What'd you say, C minus?
Yeah,
C plus? Okay,
I think
fair
that's
enough.
A pretty fair grade.
So,
I'm not being hypocritical if that's what you think I'm doing. Are you trying to say that I'm a hypocrite?
I'm not saying you're a hypocrite.
Sounds like you're trying to say I'm a hypocrite.
I'll just say this.
Please.
For a guy that likes AEW a lot.
I do. Yeah, I love it.
The fact that MJF is your champion bothers you.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So.
But he's just as big as Daniel Bryan. They're the same size, basically. We just watched them fight. That has nothing to do with size.
That should be swaying you to begin with.
Listen, I'm not asking for I'm not saying put Brian Cage in the title match or test or anything like that. I'm fine with MJF being the belt holder. What I'm not fine with, and I think that the reviews from this last pay-per-view bear this out, is that nobody took that main event seriously, and it made the pay-per-view suffer. MJF versus Bryan Danielson is two little guys. Them main eventing that match critically, I don't know about pay-per-view buys or whatever, but critically, as far as the fans watch it, that did not make the pay-per-view suffer, because Bryan Danielson was a serious contender, and Bryan Danielson got a 5-star match out of MJF. MJF got a 5-star match out of Daniel Bryanson too. I'm saying that match was fucking unbelievable.
We all agree upon that.
Right. So to have the 4 bloodline after this year of storytelling, ever since Solo showed up at Clash at the Castle, and going back to the beginning of the pandemic when it was Jay versus Roman, and they were having those matches in Hell in a Cell, that us 3 sat on here and were like, man, those were really compelling matches, even though we never thought that Jey Uso was going to win one time. Not one iota of us 3 ever thought that they were going to win. We were like, this is dramatic. This is wrestling. This is good. So, that being said, Flash forward 3 years later, then you got Solo, who they've built up to be a complete badass. Jimmy and Jey Uso, who are the longest reigning tag title holders of all time, who have been wrestling in WWE for over 10 years and been on television for over 10 years. And Roman Reigns, the most dominant champion that we've seen since Cena, and maybe more dominant. To put them in the 4-way match, and you're going to tell me that's the same thing as having Jungle Boy in a 4-way match? You're fucking crazy. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Go ahead, Two-Beer. I'll let you go ahead before I rebut.
We guys up to like 495 bananas by now.
Nobody can tell.
We've only had two apiece. We've only had two apiece. I haven't even smoked any weed.
You're the only person that's been over here silent. So, I mean, if anybody's had 495 bananas, it's you.
No, I do agree with Bill. I think that 4-way is much more compelling because of the storytelling, and that's why I'd be watching it. I was interested in the 4-way
Yeah, right.
for the AEW side.
Go ahead. I hit the wrong button. I was getting ready to see her heating up. Sorry.
That's quite all right. I was interested in the AEW 4-way because I knew it was going to be a dynamic match, and I knew like Sammy Guevara was going to kill himself getting that match over. And they're all compelling performers, but the 4-way, the hypothetical 4-way that you put forth here is a spectacle on a much deeper level because of the interwoven history of the characters and the storytelling that would be inherent in their performance. So I think they're two very different matches, even though they're both 4-ways that would both be main events, that would both have a likely winner. There is that, like, paint by numbers for that, but if you dig a little deeper, I think there would be very different matches.
That I agree with, and I think the history with the bloodline going way deeper than what we've seen with the 4 pillars of AEW makes it that much more interesting. Everything that Two Beer said, I agree with totally. The winner, either way, is not in doubt.
The same thing. I think I just said you guys were saying, and split the difference, and to where I think I just said exactly what both of you guys were saying.
Yeah,
which is really funny.
You Switzerland ass motherfucker.
You agreed with him. He just said exactly what I said.
Get off the fence, dude. I know that.
Me on the fence?
No, I'm talking to BFR West over here. I know that rise up his ass is like, ooh, I can't get comfortable. Which way am I going?
I ain't on the fence.
I know you ain't.
How dare you know when the president says to Harrison Ford in Clear Present Danger, he's like, how dare you? And Harrison Ford says, how dare you, sir? That's what I feel like right now.
Great fucking movie. Harrison Ford fucking Tom Clancy movie is so underrated.
Fuck yeah. So let's grade Night of Champions. I'll give it a B minus.
I'll give it a B minus.
I give it a solid B.
I felt much more, even before. Even looking back afterwards, it was still a good pay-per-view. Hits and misses there. Fine. I'll go with you. I'll give it a B. Fine.
What do you got, Zach?
I'll just ask you if you guys want to revise your ratings, because just bearing in mind that Jeddah is actually a sprawling progressive metropolis. I don't know if you knew that, if you wanted to incorporate that.
Well, I took a bunch of shots at Saudi Arabia on social media, and basically those are. I want to let everybody know, all our Saudi Arabian fans, that is a shot at the government, not at the people. Those
whopping one that listens.
Those were we have lots of Saudi Arabian listeners.
Sorry,
lots of them. We have 4 or 5. But I want to let you know that the shots that I took were shots at the government, not shots at the people. They're great crowds.
4 or 5. I didn't realize that a full 30% of our listenership was Saudi Arabia.
Hell no. My boy.
Absolute fucking bullshit.
That's my boy.
Unprofessional bullshit.
I'll give it a solid B as well, though. That's what I was thinking before you guys said it, and I'll stick with it.
Yeah, very fun. They were into everything. And you know what?
I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank.
Good for Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
I mean,
thank you. That's the one thing we didn't talk about, and we should talk about that.
And he has been very forthright in his political leanings and very forthright in his political beliefs. And he waited until Saudi Arabia and Syria had a better political relationship before he decided to go in there. And I know that's a personal thing for him, and I'm not going to judge him one way or the other because I feel like I've read enough of his tweets to know pretty much where he stands when it comes to politics. But man, he got a hero's welcome out there in Saudi Arabia, and he was speaking Arabic in the pre-match vignette. Very, very cool stuff, and good for him. Sami Zayn is on a ride, man, and I hope that it ends with him winning the world championship. So, all that being said, let's get to that 3 count. All right, so this will probably be the shortest one. Did everybody watch NXT Battleground? Zach, did you watch it?
Yeah, actually, the main event's on right now. I had watched most of it beforehand, but
Look at
I had to
you.
leave the house earlier.
Look at us.
I know.
It's like
we're
100. I'm sorry, 200 episodes.
It's like we're journalists.
There's only one, my brother.
So I'm going to start this off. I'm going to start off the NXT Battleground talk with the match that I enjoyed the most. And I think this is pretty much on everybody's list of the match that kind of wowed them the most, which was Ilya Dragunov versus Dijak, frenemy of the show.
Frenemy of the show.
In a last man standing match. Not my favorite type of match.
Which is your least favorite stip match? If you had to have your two, who your two favorite?
Falls Count Anywhere.
Okay, never mind.
That's my least favorite type of match.
Never mind. Okay, you just said it.
Last man standing. They usually get pretty creative. You know, Yana will put a duct tape on somebody. You know. But Dragunov versus Dijak was not for the faint of heart, fellas. That match was fucking hardcore. Like, super hardcore. And if you saw pictures of Dragunov's arm afterwards, he might actually have a broken arm because that shit looked fucked up. This, to me, was a 4.5-star match. What'd you think, Jason?
The bad part about... I'll just say about just watching NXT or not watching NXT in general, especially after they went from the black and gold to the 2.0, is that you miss certain talents. We'll talk about one in a second here in a little bit for me personally. But I knew who Dragunov was. You know, we've seen him on multiple occasions. You know, Walter, his matches with Walter stand out. You know, he's been on this, you know, podcast list of match of the year. So you knew who he was. I knew who he was. Dijak is who he is. You know, he's this guy, and then, you know, I don't watch NXT, so, you know, I'm watching this build for, you know, I can break anybody's Dijak shit, and, you know, here comes Dragunov. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, okay, so this is, and it's a simple build, but you know, if you've seen Dragunov before, you know he's not going anywhere. Dijak is a fucking 6'8", 6'9", freaking monster of among men. No disrespect to Braun Strowman, but this match really was big man versus little man, and whose will was getting ready to break. There was a couple of spots where the one at the close to the finish where you see Dragunov coming with the fucking phenomenal forearm, quote unquote.
You want half of this?
No, I'll take it all. Just put one in my hand.
Okay.
Thank you. But then the one that I was really tripping off of is that I think it was the table was on top of Dragunov. He already had a busted lip, and I think this was part of the you know, the possible broken arm that he had. He was trapped underneath the table. Like Bill always says, this exceeded expectations, and that's probably part of my own fault because I didn't have a lot of expectations coming into it because I don't watch NXT religiously like I watch everything else. But yeah, this was one of the best matches of the weekend, and I watched a lot of fucking wrestling this weekend.
Zach, what'd you think?
Oh, this match was awesome. It was absolutely the highlight of what was a pretty fun night of wrestling. Like, this NXT Battleground show, I don't know if it was because it was shorter. I don't know if it was because just match quality wise and like the density. Like, this was like a campier version of like a old school like takeover. It's just like a pretty short pay-per-view. It was very enjoyable. It was one of the most enjoyable shows I watched all weekend.
Did you like it more than AEW?
I might have, just as far as like pure enjoyment.
That's deep. It was like 5-6 matches.
Watch.
It was, it was 6 matches.
I was getting ready to say when I turned it on, I came, and that's what the crazy part about it is. And I'll piggyback on what Zach said. I left Joey's. I came back here, fed the cats. It was still kind of wired because the main event, the last 2 matches were really good. And I was like, well, man, fuck it. I'm going to watch fucking Battleground. At least start it. Let's see it, if they can keep me interested. As soon as I saw it was 2 minutes or 2 hours and 12 minutes, I was like, shit, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
It was breezy like BSOJ
Sunday
has
morning.
been.
Yeah.
Well, that too, but in this scenario, no, I agree with Two Beer on this. It was at least worth the watch, and it was ended really quick.
I saw a dude on Twitter that's taking a bunch of shit because somebody was sitting behind him at Double or Nothing, and he was watching NXT Battleground on his phone while he was watching Double or Nothing. And I just want to say to that guy, if you're listening, you do you, dude.
Please.
You paid for that fucking ticket.
Yep.
You pay for your fucking your data plan. If you can sit there and watch NXT Battleground, you feel like doing it while you're watching Double or Nothing, you do you, man. This is America, okay? This isn't Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that guy's probably just got more going on. He's just busy. You gotta dual screen sometimes.
And
that's why I watch wrestling during work.
And God forbid he likes both products. I'll just break it down to the fucking, because I'm the fan of the show. God forbid he likes both products, and they just happen to have.
You're the fan of what show?
Of this show.
I'm the only one that watches NXT, motherfucker. The fuck you talking about? You're the fan of the show.
You two are the journalist. I'm the fan.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. The
you
English
go.
majors are the fan. Dragunov versus Dijak. If you haven't seen it, which maybe you haven't because there was tons of wrestling this week, but we watch it all because we're here for you, the listener. If you haven't seen it, can't recommend it enough. I also enjoyed Noam Dar versus Dragon Lee. All 3 of us picked Dragon Lee. This was the UK Heritage Cup match. Had 6 3-minute rounds with 20 seconds in between.
I liked it.
Kind of adds to the strategy of it, which makes it a little different. Kind of reminded me of, not in terms of form of the match, but that match that Shingo and Taichi had where they just counted referee hits.
If you were down for like five, they count for 5.
Or if you're just down for 1, they count for 1, and whoever had the most counts. It was a fun match, and it added to the strategy of it. Liked it a lot. Noam Dar doesn't get a whole lot of time on American television, and this is coming from somebody who watches NXT most weeks. So
I remember Noam Dar.
The crowd wasn't too hot for it, but very fun match. What you think of it, Zach?
Yeah, it was really well wrestled. I think the crowd had a hard time getting into it. The format is wonky, and I kind of had a hard time getting into it also for that reason. It was
quick
different,
sidebar for
and I
30
appreciate
seconds.
The variety.
Hey,
Okay.
3 Beer, was this the first time that you saw a Heritage Cup match?
The Heritage Cup? Yeah, I have not been able to tune into NXT for some weeks.
But they haven't had one for a long time.
It obviously started on NXT UK or whatever, and we were doing the pod, and we didn't talk about it, and it probably went through I'm pretty sure it went through the pandemic. A-Kid, I think, was the first Heritage Cup winner.
Who is now Axiom, yeah.
Okay, but I guess there's the problem with it. I liked the match, but then I caught myself thinking, okay, so it's 3 minutes, so I think Noam Dar got the first pin. So this round ends.
And he had the first pin for like the first 4 rounds. It was 1-0, and then it kind of went fast and furious towards the end.
Towards the end. And then people that I didn't know came in, and that's where I was just kind of like, it is what it is.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, you want to get that.
There was that Oro Mensa guy who is badass, standing on the outside. But anyway, yes, go ahead, Zach. Took you a minute to get into it.
The format's just different, right? It's just I appreciated the variety, kind of like anything that's new. And I might have watched one of those. Like I used to like throwing on NXT UK. I was probably one of like 300 people that ever like watched that show.
Yeah.
Like it's really
I like the NXT UK.
nobody watched it.
No, I like the NXT UK.
you were another one. There were dozens of us, right? That like that show, scores maybe even, but nobody watched that show. But yeah, rounds are weird.
Rounds are
But
weird.
it was well wrestled, and I was surprised that Dragon
Agreed.
Lee is kind of the only reason he's in NXT is because he can't speak English.
Okay, so you watch NXT regularly. Did he cut promos? He being Dragon Lee cut promos in English? Okay.
No, I mean I don't actually watch it. Like
Okay, well, sorry, motherfucker.
like I fast forward through it.
Okay, that's all you had to say.
When I used to
It's a
watch.
fantastic background show. It's fun, campy pro wrestling. That's when I watch it. I put it on while I'm working or like when I'm doing laundry or something. It's great.
Okay. See, I watch wrestling differently. I apologize.
There was a time when my wife worked Tuesday nights. The baby went to bed a lot earlier than she does now. And there's no NBA on, and I would turn it on
tonight.
And I'm talking like it
Who you got?
a year ago.
Who you got?
Tonight?
The series, motherfucker.
Oh, Nuggets in 5.
I said 6.
Okay, might be less.
Might be. 2 beer. I'm sorry.
What's
3 beer.
next?
Who you got? Nuggets or
Sure.
Miami?
I fucking hate Florida, so I got to go with the Nuggets.
Fair enough.
Just the whole state, really.
It's a bullshit
I'm surprised
state.
they even like NXT. I mean, for real, you got like the governor turning into a dictatorship, and then another guy who lives there, who used to be president, who has now like been convicted of sexual assault, and we're like, which one of these guys is going to be president?
It's like
Yeah,
Cuba
but-
all over again.
Those are 2 people out of like fucking millions of people, though, man.
But there are 2 that might be president.
That's fair.
Yeah, totally fair.
Anyway, I fucking hate it down there. I feel bad for the people that live there. It should just fall off.
Shout out to Florida State. Get that natty, baby. I know I got to go there for 30 seconds, but I have to do it. Go ahead, Two Bear.
Fuck
I'm
Florida
sorry.
State.
Okay, see, man. Dude, really? Really?
I mean, fuck Florida State. Are we
Nuggets or
In
Denver?
my house?
Nuggets or Denver? Yeah. Sorry, yeah, in
you
your
went
house.
You
So
went
sorry.
to Florida. Sorry, Jason. Sorry about your alma mater.
Oh, Zach said you went to Florida. Take it easy, dude.
I'm going to jump off this fucking ledge right now.
All right, so
Let's
next,
talk about the women's and men's.
all right, so wait, so okay.
Tag team match. I apologize.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Creeds versus Gallus. I thought this match fucking ruled. I'm a big Creeds guy, and I also like Gallus a lot. Big Creeds guy. I think they have really high upswing from. In my mind, they remind me of Team Angle. They remind me of Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. Like
I can see that.
They're clearly guys that used to wrestle amateur. Like they know what they're doing. They have they're in on the joke, and they're kind of funny too. And so I'm a big Creeds guy. That being said, I did pick Gallus. Jason picked Gallus, and Zach picked the Creeds. Oh, I should also say that on Night of Champions, I got 6 points, Jason got 4 points, and Zach got 5 points.
Nice. So much for that perfect fucking week on AEW.
It's coming down to the wire.
Yeah, right.
I'm still right in the sweet spot.
This motherfucker.
What do you think about the match, Zach?
Oh, dude. When I heard Julius Creed, like, this is why I picked him. He did like 7 or 8 belly-to-belly suplexes with kick-ups in between. That was some, like,
Insanely athletic.
2023. That was like if Kurt Angle was alive in 2023 and had never seen.
He's heating up.
That's exactly right.
No argument. I mean, it's.
He is still alive. I guess.
He's still alive. Yeah. Clearly.
But also, though, Julius Creed probably quite a bit bigger than Kurt Angle was back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
In
at
terms
least taller.
In terms of weight, no, I mean he's probably 30 pounds bigger than Kurt Angle was.
That too, but I think that both things can be true in this
But
scenario.
that's impressive shit, though.
like I said,
Put them in the G1.
one needs to go, the other one can't.
Good for him.
I hate the
I
fact
also
that
love white guys named Julius.
I hate the fact that
We had that. That was on our finalists. If we were gonna have a boy, it was gonna be Julius.
really.
Yeah, it was Julius
Because
and
of your love for Orange Julius.
that's right. Yeah, Julius and Jude were our 2 finalists.
Okay.
So
I'll say this. This show, Battleground and All Encompassing, at least made me want to peek into NXT on Tuesday and see what happened.
you don't say.
You don't say. I didn't watch it, though.
I didn't either. I'm busy. We had Lyra Valkyrie versus Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton goes over. All of us had Tiffany Stratton. Makes sense. She looks the part. She is, they're like running backs over there in NXT. It's like just find a blonde that's just 4 years younger than the last one.
No.
Well, it was Mandy Rose.
2-Beer, go ahead. I'm sorry. 3-Beer, go ahead. You can go first. You just watched the match.
I did. At first, I thought Lady Valkyra's knee, whenever she did that leapfrog, and then she landed wonky on her knee and fell down. I was like, what an idiot! You're on national television. She sold it really well. Then they turned it into the rest of the match with her working the knee, or maybe she did fall down and they actually just were able to pull that together. I don't feel like that's actually true because they're both pretty green, so I feel like it was just played into it, and she did a good job. But yeah, Tiffany Stratton's athletic. She's got a great look. She's very marketable, which is just the PC way of saying she's super hot.
Super hot.
And she does her character very well. Thankfully for NXT, like I was saying, it's a very campy show, so it is the characters are kind of 1-2 dimensional, right? They don't really have a lot of them don't really have a fully 3-dimensional personality. They're just kind of, here's your gimmick and then get that down, and she's got that down, so good for her.
Jason.
Don't really watch NXT, but Tiffany Stratton, I think, is part of the reason I watched this pay-per-view. The top guys up at the top, sprinkle here and there. For me, I like heels. I've always liked heels. I'm not going to, apologize for anything less.
But you do boo the heels.
Of course.
Yes.
And it's what you should. Tiffany Stratton's character is so unlikable, you want to boo her. My daddy got me here this. I'm doing this because of this. It's all because of privilege versus actually getting over. Lyra Valkyrie, I remember from NXT UK, not a big fan of her, but then in this match, she made me a fan because she sold the knee. Whether or not it was work or shoot, I'll let you tell it. But
either way, they worked into the match.
Bingo. And then at that point, I was like, okay, now we got a match going. Now I'm thinking that my pick is suspect. The prettiest moonsault ever is basically the best moonsault ever from Christopher Daniels. Either way, they both do it, and they both do it solid. I love me some Tiffany Stratton. I was this close to watching NXT this week.
So, we also...
Put it this way, real quick. Put it this way. Jason is so into booing the heels, he's not allowed in any Nordstrom rack.
We had Wesley versus Tyler Bate versus Joe Gacy. All of us had Wesley in the second place, so all of us got 1 point there. Wesley goes over. He pins Joe Gacy. Tyler Bate was great in this match. This was a really, really fun triple threat match. What you think, Jason?
Hitting underneath the front and the back. I really wish, again, and this is on me because I don't watch the product, Wesley feels like he's a guy that's underneath the radar, dare I say, quote unquote, underrated. I thought Joe Gacy was really good. Tyler Bate, you know who he is, at least in this scenario, you know who he is, as BFR. So it was a nice little gumbo of a nice match. Right guy probably went over. Wesley's making history. So I guess for the Triple H era, it's about making history. Certain people on certain rosters hit certain numbers, and then from that point, we all move on. Different from the Vince McMahon era, when Vince can be a snap of the finger and you can lose the title. For me personally, I like the Triple H shit because I like historic numbers. I like the fact you can put this shit against this shit and make it happen.
Okay, so historic numbers is one thing, but wouldn't you say that Gunther's IC title reign is kind of being overshadowed by, well, it was overshadowed by Bianca until she lost it, and it's kind of being overshadowed by Roman? Like, I also like long-term title holders, and I think that Gunther is certainly a very worthwhile IC title holder. Would you say that's too much at once?
Go ahead, Tuber. I'll let you start.
I think that they could do a little more variety with their titles, and just kind of the booking in general. Because if you look at, like, say the Royal Rumble, like, weren't both winners like the first one's in and the last one's out? Like, yes. Rhea Ripley, yeah. You know,
Gunther was number one. He didn't win, but he made it to the very end.
He was in the final two.
Points still taken.
He was in the final two.
Yeah. And then I think the year before that, though, Edge was the first one in and the last one out, and he won. So that's just, at some point, it just kind of becomes predictable.
It might just be Hunter trying to establish his style. You know, like he established his style for a couple of years, and then
kind of stole my thunder on that one.
And Hunter seems like the type of guy that would think about stuff like that.
No, and honestly, if you really want to stop and think about it, there's Rhea Ripley kind of needed a little oomph to get over. Here's Charlotte. Charlotte might not be here or not. So there's a lot of things where you can see Triple H is kind of like Vince in certain ways, but the one biggest way that I think Triple H is totally different from Vince is that a long title reign is on Triple H's menu in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I mean, the other big difference is, like, the product is watchable now. Hey, will you tell that guy behind you across the street to stop blowing that leaf blower? Does he know that we're doing a podcast? He's wearing black socks with tennis shoes. Tell him to shut the fuck up.
He's a little big. I'm gonna go ahead and take a pass on that.
Do you know do you know that when Wes Lee was in Impact, that he was Jeff Jarrett's dude? Like, Jeff Jarrett thought,
you said that on the pod.
He said, "Oh, this is the next guy. Like, he's going to be the guy that everybody likes. He can be a crossover star.
He is the solid mid card linchpin."
That's not the way that Jeff Jarrett saw him.
It's a start.
But I mean, I wouldn't know way more about wrestling than Jeff Jarrett. It's like, welcome to the business, Jeff. And then finally,
glad you lost on fucking Sunday.
We had Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker in a match that I enjoyed quite a bit more than their first one, which was kind of forgettable. This one had one of my favorite spears of all time, where Braun Breaker speared the fuck out of Carmelo Hayes, coming off the middle rope, doing that turnaround thing.
Yeah,
that looked fucking cool, man. It looked really fucking cool. I think that Braun Breaker is on his way up to the main roster, and I think that it happens sooner than later. If it doesn't happen, I'll come back and I'll edit this podcast so that I don't say that. But what do you think, Zach?
I only got to watch it with the sound off while I was doing the podcast, but it looked like a good match. I would have liked to watch it with sound on because I would like to hear some reactions, particularly to Braun Breaker as a heel. I don't know how he's getting over as a heel.
He's over.
A little bit of a...
He's over.
Yeah.
They're both
Is he over to that crowd? Because, like, so the...
Big time.
And that's why I say that, because the NXT crowd at, like, Full Sail is a different crowd. Like, that's, like... It's a weird... like almost like incestuous crowd.
It's an Impact crowd because they're always at the same place pretty much. But Braun Breaker is over the heel. I feel like our podcast mantra, Boo the Heels, has its tentacles out in the world. I feel like we're making a big difference here, guys. We are doing the Lord's work.
Sick doing the Lord's work. I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that. You said I should never do that. I'll just say this.
You ain't Catholic. Don't do the one sign of the cross.
I
You did
apologize,
backwards,
motherfucker.
You did the Father, Son, and the Spirit holy.
Did I not
you did.
apologize?
That's fine.
God damn.
Don't offend my religion.
Never mind. I'll just say this.
Very religious.
Exactly. The fact that we argue about AEW,
and he will raise you up on eagle's
or in
wings.
this case,
Dude,
and
that song's actually a banger.
Bear you on the breath of dawn. I'll stop. Go ahead.
I don't even know what I was going to say anymore. I'll just say this. I liked the NXT Battleground. It was a nice palate cleanser from whether you liked AEW Dynamite or not, or I'm sorry, AEW Double or Nothing or not. Not a big fan. It was a nice palate cleanser. I thought that everybody did well, and there's talent on this roster. Like I said beforehand, the women's roster right here, you might want to take a look at, because somebody that might be your favorite is on this roster right now.
Both these guys are money. Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker are both.
It's a matter of time when they come up.
Both ready for the big time. Braun Breaker, to me, because he's been wrestling about 7 years less than Carmelo Hayes, is a little bit more remarkable, but I don't want to take away from Carmelo Hayes' the work that he's put in. But they're both great, and I can't wait to see them both on the main roster. Seriously, like both of them. And I think that Trick Williams is a great heater for Carmelo Hayes.
Honestly, I kept waiting for Trick to flip on Carmelo to get Braun the title back.
Yeah. I think that Braun's gone. I think that
at this point, there's not much more you can do.
After you run the table as a babyface for about 7 or 8 title matches, and then you lose twice as a heel to Carmelo Hayes, there's not much you can do. I wouldn't mind seeing Braun Breaker in the Money in the Bank. I think that would be cool. Just to throw just a little bit of a wild card in there. Let's throw a little bit of wild card in there. I wouldn't mind seeing Jimmy and Jay in there either. See if Jimmy wins it or something. I will say that the Battleground predictions were Bill had 5, Jason had 5, Zach had 4. Jesus Christ. What's he doing? What is he doing? All right. So for the weekend, Jason had 21 points, Bill had 19 and a half, and Zach had 18. What?
What you mean? 18,
I think
19 and a half.
the only thing I can say is last week I was not sleeping very well because the swing dancer flipped my wife out of way. He flipped her 8 times.
He flipped her 8 times. Let's get to that. That's going to do it for our 3 count. All right. So you guys can talk about other stuff after this. I really got to go. I got to start doing stuff. But
I think we should wrap it up. We can do some BOSJ. There wasn't anything on Dynamite we really need to talk about.
Dynamite and Raw were both pretty soft. Okay, that's fine. Let's talk about the finals of the Battle of the Super Juniors in New Japan. My match of the week, I sent it to you guys this afternoon after I watched it. It might have been recency bias because I sent it to you probably 5 seconds after it finished. But Master Wato versus Titan in the finals of the Battle of Super Juniors, to me, was the match of the weekend. It was unbelievable. Master Wato, pretty awkward, a little bit of a dork. It seems like he's going. He was kind of treated as a joke by no less of a podcaster than Dave me. I'm sorry. That was me that treated him like a joke. And I thought that this match was incredible. The last 10 minutes of it, and this was a one-on-one match that lasted 25 minutes.
No time limit.
The last 10 minutes of it were incredible. Like, legitimately incredible. Guys kicking out of non-finishers, but stuff that looked like finishers. I loved it so much. I think that them having Master Wato win the tournament, Battle of Super Juniors, is a ballsy and kind of inspired booking move. Zach, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was very surprising. There's the fact that they had the runners up in the final. Surprising stuff, but it turned out to be a fantastic match. I did like before the finals, Despy and Mike Bailey got in a little bit of a kicking contest before they hugged it out. That was pretty cool.
This don't mean nothing, right? Okay, my bad, dog.
Yeah,
we good.
Yeah, they really just put it out there, and it's kind of like passing up the torch to a new guard, right? Like I said last week, Kushida did very poorly, Taguchi did very poorly, even though they both looked really good. The young guys, the young lions, they're not young lions, but the young guys really shown in this tournament. So, sign of turning the page and good things to come.
Also, they said that was the first Battle of the Super Juniors final that took place in front of a non-clap crowd since 2019. That crowd was hot, man. And it just goes to show you Saudi Arabia, Puerto Rico, Japan. I don't know where the Battle of Super Juniors was. Forgive me, but it was.
Doesn't matter.
A hot crowd makes all the difference, and that crowd was hot. They were ready for that match, even though it probably was. It wasn't who they thought it was going to
be. If you had these two guys in the finals,
they thought it was going to be Despy and Mike Bailey, and they still got into it. And goddamn, I got into it too. I was way into it. Loved it, Jason.
LIJ versus LIJ, and with T-Time versus Hiromu. When I saw that happen, I was like, oh, what the fuck? I mean, I think T-Time is one of the guys that Mike Bailey, Leo Rush on the smaller end, Francisco Akira, Clark Connors.
You're just naming guys now.
No, I'm really not. I'm really not. There's guys that should get some love.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, right. Dan Maloney.
Toby Maguire.
Maloney.
Yeah, right. Even when we said it last week, and I stuck to my guns where I thought it was Despy versus Mike Bailey. When Mike Bailey lost, I was like, oh, damn, that's crazy. It was still an upset. When you have T-Time jumping off shit and tapping Desperado out, that to me was the bigger surprise. So now you have the runners-up coming in for the final. I had no idea what was going to happen. It's one of the best matches I've seen, at least for the weekend. Dare I say, all year long. I gave it 4.75. If you want to put a grade out there, so be it. And I'll put that on PSP, and I'll stick to it. I love the fact that New Japan is doing the one thing I ever asked from any promotion. You have young talent. We ran down Master Wato on multiple occasions. We've all done it.
Yeah, we've all done it. Teased him.
We've all done it. Now he's here on the cusp of at least on Dominion to wrestle Hiromu. God bless him for it. I don't think he's going to win it, but you've seen the evolution. The Wrestle Kingdom match was like, oh, damn, he can stay with anybody. And now he's won BSOJ. I can't wait for Hiromu and fucking Master Wato in Dominion. It's going to be some good shit.
All right, we're going to save a couple New Japan things for next week, which is G1 is rumored to go to 32 people. And the other thing is that Aussie Open has signed with AEW.
That's not even a rumor. That's a done deal. That's done deal.
As a journalist,
I'm sorry.
I know that the contract hasn't been signed yet. So it's not a rumor. Hold on. I'm getting a phone. Hold on, I'm getting a text message right now.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Okay, Aussie Open has signed with AEW, so they are no longer signed with New Japan Wrestling. Hey, everybody, we got some birthdays this week. We got Lucifer the Cat is 4 years old. James Storm is 46. AJ Styles is 46. Lex Luger is 65. Velvet Sky is 43.
What?
That's what it said. Born in 1981. I know. Gorilla Monsoon, R.I.P., would have been 86. Riho is 26. What?
We was 26.
26.
Jesus Christ.
Drew McIntyre is 38. Superstar Billy Graham, R.I.P., passed away last week. He would have been 80. Howard Finkel, the Fink, passed away a couple years ago. He would have been 73. Mick Foley is 58.
He's going to add that out, too.
We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to ours. For Tinder Mahal.
Check.
For Vice.
Check.
For... Oh, I forgot to say Billy. Billy is also 4 today.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
I
shit.
forgot about the other cat. I was going to do it all the way at the end.
You're welcome.
For
That's
Murray
why-
the Merman Murray.
Check,
For
check.
Lucha Chris.
Check.
For Patriot Pat.
Check.
For
Sideways in time. I'll throw it out there. Check.
Sideways in Time. For 3 Beer Zach Pullman.
Check.
For Jason Cornelius Bell. I'm Bill
Konnichiwa, bitches.
Veggie.
Check.
Black Lives Matter.
Check.
Tip your local bartenders.
Check.
Tip your local servers. And never
Check.
forget to boo the heels.